Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Fright Friday right here on Night Owl Video. Today we're talking about this little gem, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Yes. So we'll be talking about production, cast and crew, where you can watch it, the critics' response, my thoughts on the film, and all kinds of cool stuff. So I hope you'll stick around. Thank you everybody who's subscribed recently. Welcome to the channel. This past week we had Equalizer Part 1 on Monday as part of my Mainstream Monday series. Frailty was this past Tuesday as part of my Cult Movie Tuesdays series. And this past Wednesday, I did a all-new Thrifting Haul video. And then today we're doing this. So it's a busy week here at Night Owl Video. Thank you for tuning in. As of the recording of this video, I think I had one of my weaker videos last week, which was Tucker and Dale versus Evil. If you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. If you like horror comedies, I highly recommend that movie. But I can see by the numbers, the views, that maybe that movie flew under a lot of people's radars. But that was last week. But that was last week. This week, and today specifically, we're talking about this film, Return of the Living Dead. Now, I have it listed as 1988, but I'm looking at the disc itself. It says 1987 on the disc, so 87 maybe, I guess. Let's see on the back what it says. Yeah, it says 1987, so the online source that I was looking at obviously was clearly mistaken. This is a horror comedy from 1988 directed by Ken Wiederhorn, who also directed Shockwaves as well as Eyes of a Stranger, two movies that I have not seen. Sure, someday when I find the disc, I will check them out. This is a sequel to Return of the Living Dead Part 1, obviously, starring two of the actors that were in the first one. James Karen, who I think passed away a few years ago. He was, of course, in the original film as well as Poltergeist. He was the realtor, I think, for the subdivision in Poltergeist. And he was also in Invaders from Mars, which I just recently reviewed. This movie also stars Tom Matthews, who was in Friday the 13th Part 6, as well as the first of this series. And Dana Ashbrook, who was in Waxwork and also played Bobby Briggs on Twin Peaks. You may remember that guy. As soon as I saw him in this movie, I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy from Twin Peaks. I always thought he was really funny and unintentionally funny in Twin Peaks for some reason. I don't know why, but he was like, because he was like so over the top trying to be serious, and he just seemed like corny to me. So yeah, he's in this movie as well. The synopsis for Return of the Living Dead Part 2 is, in this first sequel to The Return of the Living Dead, a group of kids discover one of the drums containing a rotting corpse and release the 2,4,5-trioxin gas into the air, causing the dead to once again rise from the grave and seek out more delicious and tasty brains. This series, I think there's 2 or 3 more sequels. I've never seen any of them. I've heard they're really bad, so I just kind of avoided them. I do think I have it in my collection, actually. I want it down below. I have like a Living Dead, like, multi-movie set, and I think it does have like Rave to the Grave and Necropolis and those ones. I've never actually sat down and watched them. This was as far as I went. Just based on what I've heard from other people who like this series, that the sequels got worse as they went along. This one, though, is actually quite fun to watch. Oh yeah, so I have in my notes that it's the first of 4 sequels, but maybe, I don't know if there was another one. You can leave comments below. Return of the Living Dead Part 2 was released as Lorimar Motion Pictures on January 15th, 1988, and was a minor box office success, making over $9 million at the box office in the United States against its $6.2 million budget. So, minor hit. Following the success of The Return of the Living Dead, producer Tom Fox opted to personally bankroll the sequel, believing it would be a safe investment, having been inspired by the successful sequelization of other works, such as Friday the 13th. Fox had Fox had stated his intent with the film was to make a long-lasting horror series, much like series like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Actors James Karen and Tom Matthews, who appear in The Return of the Living Dead, the first part, as medical supply warehouse employees Frank and Freddy, respectively, appear again in Return of the Living Dead Part 2, although they play different characters than in the first film. So those two guys return to this film, and immediately when you see them on the screen, you think, okay, I'm not sure how they're in this, because I'm pretty sure they're dead or living dead, but, or actually exploded from a nuclear missile at the beginning of Part 1, but they are in this film again playing different characters. Not quite as charming as the first one. The characters are still cool in this one, but I thought they were more lovable in the first one just because they were so sort of dim-witted and I don't know, just a bit more funny. James Karen in the first one was so funny. If you're wondering, if you've seen Part 1, he was the guy that ran the medical warehouse, and he was teaching Tom Matthews the ropes. And of course, he was the one that freaked out when the trioxin got released into the air and zombies started to attack, and he himself turned into a zombie in the first one. Spoilers, but yeah, in this one they play different characters. Still likable, but not maybe as well developed as the first movie. Like in the previous film, the characters gradually devolve into zombies after being exposed to the toxic gas, trioxin. During the production of Part 2, Matthews remarked to Fangoria that, quote, "This time I get to eat the girl's brains." So in the first Return of the Living Dead, Tom Matthews turns into a zombie and is chasing his then at the time girlfriend in the movie into a attic of a building, and he's saying like, "I want to eat your brains" and all this stuff. And so in this one, he said to Fangoria, I'm gonna get to eat those brains. The film received a Blu-ray release in 2018 by Shout Factory under license from Warner Brothers. It contains a new 2K scan of the interpositive, plus a bunch of new special features that were not on the DVD, unfortunately for me. Along with that, it also restores the original theatrical soundtrack that had been omitted on the DVD release. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to get my hands on that Blu-ray, because apparently the soundtrack on this version is not accurate to the theatrical version, I guess. So I'll have to seek that out. I found this in a like a DVD bargain bin at a store called Rossi, which was kind of a cool find, something you don't see around very often. But where I live, we don't have any good movie stores, so if I want anything cool like that, I have to order it online, which, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm just getting into ordering online. I've had some bad online shopping experiences, so I've had 2 for 2 so far, so I'll probably have to get the Blu-ray of this if I can find it. It's probably worth like $100 now or something, but God, who knows. You can still enjoy this movie, though. I mean, I didn't even know at the time that the soundtrack wasn't right for this DVD release, but you can still enjoy the movie without it, I think. Maybe the soundtrack makes it cooler or something. I don't know. This movie currently holds a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, so critics did not like this movie, apparently. I think this is for the people who loved Return of the Living Dead Part 1, or who like zombie movies from the 80s. My thoughts on this film: it's a bit goofy compared to the first one. I mean, the first one is a horror comedy, but the horror in the first part and the gore is a little darker. This one is just kind of more of a straight up comedy with zombies in it. I think it tries to be scary at times, but I don't. Sometimes when I watch the first Return of the Living Dead, I genuinely feel kind of like creeped out. Like, I don't know, it just gives me weird vibes. Maybe that's because I saw it at a young age, and it did kind of bother me a bit. Just because when I was younger, death really actually upset me, and I've come to terms with it over the years, but there are parts in the first one where it's so I don't know if I can even put it into words. It just really gives me the creeps, even though it's got funny stuff in it. Just like when they don't have a pulse and stuff. Like I remember that really giving me the creeps, or like when James Cairn puts himself into the crematorium or whatever. I remember as a teenager I was really bothered by that. I thought it was actually really creepy. And so even now to this day when I watch that movie, it does still give me like kind of the willies. Even though there are obviously really funny parts in it. This one upon rewatch was just like, this is just goofy. Like this is just like a goofy, funny um, comedy basically with zombies in it, as opposed to the other one where it was more like a horror movie with like a few, jokes here and there. But this one, I don't know. Even some of the dialogue and stuff is like really campy, cornbally. But if you love the first one, you'll probably be able to enjoy this one as well. I thought it was really just a fun, not like obviously not as goofy as like Shaun of the Dead or something like that, but um, definitely like definitely I don't know, just a bit more cheesy. I mean, there's the one of the kids in the film who turns out to sort of be zombified, and he's supposed to be like sort of like a baddie. Um, I just couldn't buy it really. Like it was just so corny. But this is one of those movies where it's like, yeah, I know this is really cheesy, but I love this movie. And I don't rewatch it very often, but usually if I watch the first one, I'll throw this one on after just for shits and giggles. But it's definitely a lot more goofy, and I don't know what the budget was for the original, but this one definitely feels more like almost like a straight to video feel. I know it did obviously have a theatrical release, but it has more of that feel, that low budget feel. As with the first one, I felt like it had a bit of production value. This one, fun, but don't go in expecting it to be like the first one. Like the first one to me is a classic of the 80s and of the horror genre in general. This is like a not as good like cousin to that, but I would still recommend this if you like zombies, horror comedies, 80s horror movies. It's got all that. I am really curious to check out the Blu-ray though and see what the difference is with the soundtrack. So yeah, my thoughts on this film, really just goofy fun. It's got a bit of like a chase element in it. I guess a bit like the first one, although the first one I think they end up at locations. This one they sort of seem to be being chased around by zombies and things like that. So it's got a bit more of a bit more movement to it than the first one. But yeah, love the artwork on the cover of this. Just when you thought it was safe to be dead, it says. I love the artwork for that. The sort of ghostly image of the zombie floating over the graveyard in the forefront here, and there's the subdivision behind it. This kind of had like even gave me a bit of like Poltergeist almost vibes. It was like seemed to be like in a new subdivision setting. There's the inside, which is just a repeat of the cover. The special features on here are commentary with director Ken Wiederhorn and co-star Thor Van Lingen. This is a theatrical trailer, and that is it. This DVD is from 2004 from Warner Brothers. It is rated R in Canada. It has a runtime of 89 minutes. Beautiful. Another kind of bonus to this is it doesn't overstay its welcome. This is... what else can I say about this? That's it, I guess. Kevin Thomas of the Los Angeles Times says, more genuine artistry than lots of prestige films. A hoot. It's fun. Unquote. So yeah, this was... apparently Ken Wiederhorn also worked on Freddy's Nightmares, the Freddy Krueger TV show. So I have not seen that, but yeah, that's about it for that. There's the back of the case in case you wanted to see it. In case you wanted to see it, there's the spine. Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I love the font on that. Again, I love the cover of this. I was thinking for my 500 subscriber count, which I'm hoping will come soon. I will finally do my favorite physical media cover artwork video. So I'm going to go through my collection and pick out ones that have great cover artwork. And I think this one will probably make the cut. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I could probably say more about this. There's also a great scene where somebody puts a screwdriver in the side of a zombie's decapitated head, and the decapitated head says something like, "Get that damn screwdriver out of my head," and sort of like a southern drawl. There's a lot of really funny moments in this movie, but overall, you really have to be in the mood for like almost like a comedy. So. But that's my thoughts on this film. Let me know what you thought about this movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you prefer the first one? Probably that's probably the common sentiment on this, but I think this was the only decentish sequel from what I've been told. Again, I haven't watched part 3 or 4, but not heard good things about those ones. So yeah, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you at the video store or at the thrift store or just out and about somewhere, but hopefully not being chased around a new subdivision development by mindless zombies looking to eat your brains. But until next time, take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.